Hello everyone, I'm Saswati Chakraborty, the co-founder of BuddyTime and a researcher on child's consumer behavior and semiotics. At BuddyTime, we indulge the interactions with social relations and nature. We designed our mode of teaching, which included indoor and outdoor activities. We tried to make learning playful and interesting for the children. As the educators operating in the ground zero, we find that the mode of learning took a 180-degree turn as COVID-19 commenced. All our plans to keep the kids away from the screen and indulge their 3D concept development shattered after March 2020. Now, we have to depend on the screen to teach our kids because the activities to all kinds of development cannot be stopped, else a generation will be lagging on the time frame. Our motto is to find a way to develop our kids, minimizing the damage we are expecting from the screen time. We believe with the proper combination of online and offline activities, we can form a new model of learning which will enhance the mental health of a child with the proper coordination of the parents and the educators. We, the adults, need to walk some extra miles to establish a new model of educating kids. Modification of the orthodox model of teaching is the demand of time when we are in lockdown situation due to COVID-19. Today, I want to give you a presentation to have some positive output so that we can have a new model or a modified model to develop our future. The presentation follows, which will show the impact of COVID-19 on the early years of education. Today, the discussion is all about impact of COVID-19 on the early years of education. This is my presentation flow, which is the early years, the building blocks of life, factors affecting early childhood education, a child's environment and COVID crisis, impact of COVID-19 on global education, learning during COVID-19 for preschoolers and the challenges, difficulties faced by parents for online education, overcoming the difficulties and the way ahead. Conclusion. We start with the early years, the building blocks of life. The formative years. The early years of a child's life are very important for later health and development. One of the main reasons is the pace at which the brain grows. It starts before the birth and continues into early childhood. Although the brain continues to develop and change into adulthood, the first 8 years can build the foundation for future learning, mental health, and success. Here we have a curve which shows human brain development. The synapse formation is dependent on early experiences. Synapse is responsible for the memory building in a child. We see the language, the sensory pathways, which is vision and hearing, higher cognitive skills, they start developing right before the birth of a child, like 3 months before the birth. It peaks around 0 to 7 years of age. We focus on the cognitive functions of a child's development. How are cognitive functions important? It helps the child to solve problems. The factors that determine cognitive development of a child are environmental factors, biological factors, interpersonal relationships, and early environment and experiences. The environmental factors, the most important environmental factor is education. The early environment and experiences include sensory experiences, the interpersonal relationships developed at home. So, the factors affecting early childhood education. The most important factor for cognitive development of a child is education. sensory experiences, the interpersonal relationships that a child has at the home. All these three leads to a certain world, how a child learns, that is through communication. Whenever a parent comes home from the workplace, a child tells several stories, blabbers, the stories with no meanings at all. But it is very important to listen to them. That is the only way a child can communicate whatever he feels the entire day with the parents. And it acts as a stress reliever for a child. Now, communication is the key, is the building block, is the stepping stone, is the main factor of learning for a child and for everyone. Now, learning. What is learning? Learning involves much more than schooling. It is also concerned with the building of the child mentally, intellectually, emotionally, socially, so that they operate as healthy, functional individuals in the society. This is where the development of the mind takes place and the child can gain some maturity. Now, we must consider the places where a child learns from. A child learns primarily from the home, from the nature, from preschools and after schools. As COVID commenced, a child's environment changed drastically. A mask came between a mother and a child. A child never knew what a mask was. Now we see the picture of a child putting a mask on the doll. Can we imagine the amount of anxiousness that has already engulfed the little one's mind before she has put a mask on her doll? The social surrounding of a child has changed drastically in this COVID era. The impact of COVID-19 pandemic has been felt on various sectors globally, but one of the most vital areas that needed some spotlight is the early childhood education. How has it impacted a child? COVID-19 has changed a child's mental health and environment largely. How was a child pre-COVID? He was playful, happy, stress-free. And how it has changed. The little mind is full of stress, full of anxiety, fear of the unknown. They don't know what COVID is. They don't know what a virus is, what a virus can do to families, and what the virus has done to families. It has taken a huge toll on the mental health of a child. The schools have closed globally as a part of very necessary measure. Now, how it has impacted a child? Children lost the sense of structure and stimulation that is provided by that environment and miss the social interactions which have huge impact on their mental health. Here we see the impact of COVID-19 on global education. We'll see some facts. That is, on March 12, 2020, WHO declared coronavirus disease 2019 COVID-19 as a pandemic. On March 18, 2020, the UN Educational, Scientific and Cultural Organization estimated that 107 countries had implemented national school closures related to COVID-19. This affected 862 million children, young people, roughly the half student population globally. Still, the figures are escalating. The graphs show data till March 23. We see 1.38 billion students are out of the schools, have stopped going to schools due to school closures. We see the top 5 countries like China, Japan, Iran, Italy, and Iraq. They have closed their schools as necessary measures for COVID-19. Now, the surrounding of a child we see have changed drastically with the closure of the schools, with the children not meeting their friends, staying at home alone. They are engaging themselves in several activities, but the thoughts include anxiety, stress that they get from the elders. Though they try very hard, the parents try really hard not to impose their anxiety on the children. But can they? It is not possible for a parent to pretend 24/7. Now the surrounding has changed for a child. Has the brain development stopped? The answer is no. Now, learning should continue as the brain development does. Now, what are the learning tools? How does the learning look like during COVID-19 for preschoolers? Online schooling, online after school classes. Now, if you say one word for online things, that is digital education. A new word has become the new normal for all of us. Challenges of digital learning from an organizational point of view. The first point is cybersecurity. Around 60% of 8 to 12-year-olds are exposed to cyber risk, including cyberbullying, according to Child Online Safety Index. Connection problem. According to 2017 data from National Telecommunication Information Administration, NTIA, 3.1 million households, which sums about 14.1%, which is 3.1 million households, which is around 14.1% with school-aged children have no wired broadband connection. Now, these are the difficulties faced by parents for online education. Keeping a child focused in an online education, otherwise screen time is very lucrative for a child. But when it comes to online education, keeping the focus is the main difficulty. One should multiply the child's age by 2 to 5 minutes, and the result approximates the amount of time a child can stay focused according to data. Now, if we consider the highest range, that is 6 for early childhood education, and if we multiply by 5, the maximum time limit, which comes to around 30 minutes. 30 minutes, a child of 6 years can be focused in online activities. If we talk about India, the minimum school hour for a particular class is 40 minutes. So it becomes very difficult for a child to focus on the class for all the 40 minutes without having direct attachment, direct connection with the teacher. Parents were balancing professional and household work till online education commenced. As the online education commenced, one additional task came to the parents, that is, teaching their child, helping them with their homeworks, preparing them for their tests, online tests, helping a child get used to the new normal, that is digital education. Establishing a daily routine is one of the difficulties. That is, scheduling a wake-up time and a bedtime. Connection issues are very prevalent in this country as well as globally, as we have seen the data. Now, majority of the students that use the connection for online classes is the mobile network, which is quite unstable. It takes a great toll on the mental health of a child when he cannot attend the online classes due to connection problems. So, a person loses interest. They don't have a direct connection with the teacher in online classes. Now the physical classes are totally off. The sense of attachment between the teachers and the students is missing, which is leading to the lack of interest of a child. Now we have to overcome these difficulties. Enough of talking about the problems. Now let's see a few solutions. Individual attention to a child. One-to-one online classes solve the focus-related issues for children as it brings continuous communication between a teacher and a student. Combining material work with video demonstration. Children learn better through sensory activities. Optimization can be done if sensory materials are provided to children at home with a video demonstration of the material work. We know reinforcement yields enhanced learning. Thus, materials and videos can be used several times to facilitate the learning process. Use of technology in the era of artificial intelligence. The need of a child can be better understood, and courses be designed such a way that will be more engaging for a child and will make the learning process interesting than overwhelming. Educating the parents to deal with the new normal. The stress on online education for a child can be curbed by educating the parents to help the child imbibe the new way of learning. We come to the conclusion of the presentation. We discussed about the formative years, the factors that determine the cognitive development of a child, how education is impacted for COVID-19, learning process during COVID-19 and the challenges faced by the organizations and the parents. This leads to optimization between offline and online learning and adapting to the new normal. If we really can optimize between material work, sensory learning, and online learning, it will be very beneficial for a child to adapt to the new normal. Thank you.